Grandiose scenery combined with imposing natural formations make southeastern Utah a world-favorite destination for movie makers and adventure seekers alike. Vibrant red rock formations, snow-capped mountains, deep canyons, and wavering rivers make this a scintillating landscape. As John Wayne best put it, this is where God put the West. One of the most fascinating sites in southeastern Utah is Arches National Park, which is a conglomerate of over 2,000 natural arches and other awe-inspiring needles, spires, and balanced rocks. The glowing red sandstone, the curved slick rock, and the imposing arches create a peaceful feeling that flows over the mind and body. The size of this park is grand, yet strangely intimate. A home away from home for the soul. The park boasts the greatest number of natural arches in the world, and its creation began 300 million years ago when the Colorado Plateau was the bottom of an ocean that evaporated many times. These repetitive evaporations that took place over a 10 to 15 million year period created an underlying salt bed that still exists hundreds of feet below the present-day rock.
The whole southeast Utah is underlain by this wonderful layering of different kinds of materials, some that blew in from seas, some that blew in from mountains and became sandstone. Later on, the sandstone fractured, and in the case of Arches National Park, it fractured kind of in parallel formations, and that allowed these wonderful erosional effects to take place that resulted in a tremendous number of different kinds of formations. In arches, of course, the ones that are primarily featured are those that formed natural arches.
The creation of an arch can take from a few hundred years to a few thousand years. It is impossible, however, to tell the age of an arch by its size, as erosion cannot be predicted.
The formation of arches is kind of an interesting geological process. It starts when there is a fracturing of rock that exposes what we call fins, often caused by collapse of various substructures or uplift of lands, and it makes long fractures in the rock. That exposes it to wind and water, and gradually they widen, and then at a weak spot, at a joint, at a junction with another layer, a small hole will begin to form, and then the elements begin to work on that hole, and eventually you have some kind of a span. Some of the spans in this area are very long, up to 300 feet long, and some of them are very high that would house a Capitol building underneath. So it's an extensive process and has created some of the most spectacular scenery on this earth.
Expansive and soothing, the landscape transforms itself at dusk into an out-of-this-world fantasia as pink sunsets dominate the horizon. A national treasure, the park is visited each year by over 1 million tourists who are willing to experience firsthand this sightseeing mecca. One of the best ways to experience the park and the nearby Moab area is by bicycle. And during recent years, thousands of riders began taking advantage of this way to see the park. Some were so taken by the area's beauty that they packed their bags and moved here.
I moved to Moab 11 years ago to pursue my love of mountain biking. I had visited here before and discovered Moab's wonderful landscape and trails that just had so much to offer for someone who's interested in mountain biking. I think what makes Moab such a popular destination for mountain biking is that it's so unique around the world as far as the terrain and the trails that are offered here, and just the wide open landscape with trails that go on forever and just some of the most amazing rock formations and scenery you'll see anywhere.
Despite mountain biking's growing popularity, the Moab area remains a movie-making mecca. Throughout the years, the town of Moab and the nearby area have provided locations for hundreds of Hollywood movies.
Southeast Utah and the parks here are the setting for many, many movies and a lot of commercials that folks see on television. In fact, there are between 30 and 100 made here each year. A number of major movies have been made in the area. Thelma and Louise, City Slickers 2 was partially filmed here, Wild Rovers, a number of Disney films. And in the past, pieces of or large parts of some Western television series have been filmed here.
From the very first steps into Moab, Hollywood's presence here is obvious, and one can notice the many related sites. At the Apache Motel, the John Wayne Suite best exemplifies Moab's deep connection with the giants of Hollywood. This is one of the places that former Hollywood stars called home while on location in the Moab area, and is still used by current actors when making movies here.
This area has come to be known as the John Wayne country, specifically because they made so many John Wayne cowboy movies here in the late 50s, 60s, and 70s. There were probably 20 or 30 movies made here, but John Wayne was famous in the Rio Conchos and Wagon Master, and lately there was Cheyenne Autumn that was made. Ward Bond and Henry Fonda were also in those movies, and it's become kind of a cult area. There's a lot of people that really like the old Western movies, and they come and visit us every year.
Due to its exceptional location and scenery, the Red Cliffs Ranch has become an attractive destination not only for movie makers and movie buffs, but also for visitors and adventurers seeking an active vacation.
So the theme of the Red Cliff Lodge, which is going to be an adventure lodge, will be the old-time films that were filmed in that area. And there's a fabulous view of Fisher Towers from there, which is about the same view that, looking in the opposite direction, that John Ford had when he said, "This is the place."